Okay, so wanted to speak on something that is related to that whole process of capacity, willingness, retention, digestion of Shakti. When one works with Shakti, there are certain things that one needs to keep in mind. And you know, you see, when you're working with Shakti, when you're working with your meditation, your Kriya, everything is to build Shakti, everything is to build the internal intensity, the internal vibration, the internal power. Then a certain inevitable kind of pattern or process starts manifesting, which is that you progress, you achieve a lot, you attain a lot, but if you want to move, you want to continue to progress, you want to continue to transform, then whatever does not serve you anymore has to be given up. Now, this is not usually said because people get disheartened. People get disheartened because they feel then, and the usual thing is all the pleasures of life will have to be given up, which is not true. I'm talking about something much more subtle. You may have gone very far with a particular process or a particular line of development. You may have attained certain enviable results by doing something, but if you are not going any further, or you're not evolving, you're not transforming, you have to take a decision at that time that this is no longer in the service of my ultimate goal. This is no longer helping me to attain. This is no longer helping to liberate me. This is no longer helping, and you have to give it up. So to give up what no longer serves you is something that everybody in yoga has to learn. Now, either you will learn to do it proactively, you will learn to do it automatically, instinctively. You experience it so many times that you realize, okay, here is the time when it needs to go, or what will be called the shaking of the tree will happen. It's like life will manifest circumstances, or the Shakti will move in such a way that whatever is no longer serving you will be forcibly ejected from your life. That's called the shaking of the tree. The disciples of Swami Rama used to call it the great cosmic toilet flush. So, this is easy when it is something negative, when it is an addiction or a bad set of habits or some nuisance people that you have. It is easy. It is easy to recognize and say, all right, I no longer need that. Those people don't serve me. These people are not spiritually minded. They are not satsang. They are not people who help because of their presence, because of my interaction with them, because of my circumstances. This does not help. That is easy. But what happens if you have got certain success or certain validation or certain reward, and then that is becoming a problem? To give that up is very difficult. See, in my case, it's quite easy, especially when it comes to human relationships. I am here only to finish off my karmic debts. I am here only so that whatever Rinanubandhan is there between me and other people, square accounts. And when you are at a certain level in yoga, the energy links between you and the other person you can see. All these multicolored threads. If you actually knew how we are connected to people and to our environment, we are like a hopeless bundle, of conflicting cables and threads everywhere. And when it is the Rinanubandhan is about to end or the other person is going to do something to end it is very interesting, because you can see with the point of contact in your pranamaya kosha, it starts quivering. And you know this is going to come out. This is going to come out. And of course, I am very happy when, as I call it, the hook is out. The hook is out. One Rinanubandhan over. Very often it ends in a very ugly manner. It ends in a very rude manner with name calling and abuse and things like that. But you know, when a Rinanubandhanam is over, when a karmic debt tie is over, it is a great advantage. Now that is in your interpersonal relationships, and we are not a country, even though we are a country with such exceptional insight about the nature of karma, we are not a country that believes in practicing that insight when it comes to our personal relationships. We will carry the corpse of a relationship around years and years and years after it is dead and should have been cremated, because you know that is our self-image. We should be kind, we should be nice, and after all they are my friend from childhood, or after all they are my family, all of which from a yogic point of view are nonsensical statements. People are either helping you to grow and evolve, or they are impeding you. And the fact of the genetic accident that they happen to be related to you, or the even more silly accident that they happen to go to school with you or to college with you, is no reason why you should continue to. You see, because a point comes when you need to take a call, is this helping or hindering? Now, this might look like selfishness, and yes, many people do tend to act in a selfish manner. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about the sociopath and the psychopath and the narcissistic kind of everybody is there to serve at my pleasure. Everybody is there to be a utility for me. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about very simple. You come to a certain stage in your evolution and you need to know this doesn't serve me anymore. I will give two examples from my life, because you know those were two very significant moments of transformation for me. I used to be a corporate trainer for over 20 years. I mean, officially I still am. I am still the director in Pro Factor, you know. Officially I am still the director in a training institute, but you know, in practical terms nothing happens. So a few years back, my friend and I, the other person who was the director in the company, we were holding an event in Goa. A multinational company had taken over an Indian company, and they were bringing together the top people, and they brought people from all over the world. They brought people from South America, they brought people from Estonia and Lithuania. I never in my life thought I'd meet somebody from Estonia and Lithuania, but I did. And they brought Irish people, English people, people from all over the world had come, and the Indian lot, and they were basically trying to sort of blend the two. And of course, the people from Europe were in hair-tearing frustration because of the Indian attitudes and the Indian behaviors and the Indian ways of communication. So the COO of the company was an Irish lady, and she had a list of things she finds incomprehensible, and can somebody please help me to make sense of why Indians act this way. So I explained all the cultural things to her, and I gave her good reasons why that happened, and she was quite taken aback, because that kind of perspective never occurred to her, or that kind of cultural value never occurred to her. So we are going back and forth, and you know, everybody is contributing, and it's a very high energy session. Everybody is having fun, and she suddenly gets up and she says, I have a suggestion that for half an hour or 1 hour, I forget, let us pause our training agenda and let us just let Rohit speak about the Indian mind and the Indian, because this is most valuable to me. It's much more valuable. And I, at that moment, standing right there in my monkey suit and my tie and everything, I knew, okay, The universe is saying you're supposed to be here and you're supposed to be doing leadership and cross cultural and everything, and the universe is communicating clearly to you that it is your knowledge and the value about India that you bring which is appreciated. This is time to leave. So that was a big epiphany. And an earlier one that I had was Sacred India Tarot that I created, the first tarot deck created entirely on Indian mythology, and which is very authentic as a tarot and very authentic as Indian mythology. And it's a fantastic, magnificent achievement. It took 12 years of my life, from the point of inception to the point where Jane Addams was the artist sitting in England and I am sitting in India, and she's drawing what I am saying and publisher. It took us 12 years of heartbreaking effort to see that dream come true, to see it manifest. With no resources, just out of sheer insanity, we did it. And so fine it happened, and all very great. And then I saw something very interesting. Even though the book is out of the world, the artwork is out of the world, it is not getting any purchase at all. I was not getting any purchase from that, and more importantly, I didn't want to be known as a tarot person only. I didn't want to, because that puts me in the same category with all the kooks and the weirdos of the new age, and then they want crystals and they'll want to stand in the sea with singing bowls, and those are the kind of. So after all this, and that book, you pick it up and you can feel Shakti vibrate on every page. People are now, sometimes after asking permission, usually without asking me permission, lifting entire sections and posting it up and using the pictures from the cards and everything. There's that much incredible Shakti vibration in it, but it is not serving me. It is something that needed to be manifested and brought into consciousness. Jain, me and Gautam were the three people used to bring it into consciousness. That is all that we are supposed to do with it. I realized that this is not going to help me grow any further. Identifying myself as the creator of the Sacred India Tarot is not going to push me any further. Nothing, both personally in my life path and in my spiritual path, that was a pinnacle, but it was not the highest pinnacle. It was not the full point. And I had to just let that be. I just had to say, okay, you have done your best and the universe is not responding, or the universe is responding very tardily. And I just had to let go of it. I just had to break my entire identification with that. I had to break, and when you draw and you write a tarot pack, your life energy is infused into it. And to say that it is done and it is there in the universe, it is manifest, it has come from being in the head of Rohit, it has now finally become an actual physical thing, and that's it. That is Rohit's role in the whole thing, and nothing further needs to be done from Rohit's side, at least. Now, and recently I saw some blog where somebody had used the cards and reviewed the deck and everything, and one of the comments on the blog was that this is the kind of pack that now it is available, people won't be. The minute it goes out of print, everybody will be scrambling to get a copy and saying, what is that? You got that right. Now you see, you cannot, I'm not saying this to, oh, I'm such a great, wonderful, hot guy, hot shot guy. I am, but that's not the point of my, that's not the point of my, I'm saying I comprehend it that I have to walk away from 12 years of my life. And the kind of pain and sorrow and the kind of karmic price that it extracted so that it could be bought into being, it could be bought into manifestation, the kind of price that I paid, the kind of price that Jane paid. In retrospect, it all makes sense. And I just walked from it. I keep getting intermittent inquiries, will you teach the tarot? But now I'm very clear. I need a certain set number of people. I need to be paid a certain amount, otherwise I'm not going there. I won't do it. I will no longer do it out of love for the tarot. I did a lot of that. I taught a lot of people who didn't deserve to be taught. I taught a lot of people who are not ready to be taught at that level and that magnitude, because damn humility. I am a god where tarot is concerned. I am that good with it. First book on the subject ever published in India, I wrote it. First deck ever created based on Indian mythology, I created it. I know tarot like very, very few people in the world know. But that is not my Svadharma, that is not my entelechy. It is one strand. Certainly a very important strand, but only up to a certain time and a certain place in my life. And then I had to, the whole integral yoga, the Arya Yoga side had to become, because that was my Svadharma. That was just, it is something that could not have been done by anybody except the three of us. Gautam had to be there to provide the resources, Jane had to be there to bring her skill and her wisdom and her spirituality and her yogic perspective into that, and I had to be there to bring my, only the three of us could have brought it into being, so we were used by the universe. But it was never going to be like a super shaking success and transform or thing like that. And so I literally walked away. And when I'm asked to do readings and all that, I quote absurd prices because I don't want to be, again, categorized with the crowd of idiots who do readings. And I'm sorry, but 95% of the people doing tarot readings are idiots, in India at least. Not stupid, they are idiots. So, this was a very big learning for me. That much emotional investment, that much Shakti investment, that much brains, and I one day I'll probably say how, in what circumstances I wrote it, and certain life situation arose and all my research was destroyed. And I wrote the entire book from my head. Every single word in that book, there is no reference. It has come purely from my memory. That is the magnitude of the achievement, and I am saying it is no longer serving, it is time to give it up. We cannot, when we have invested that much of our life force into something, we cannot walk away from that. And that is still only a book. What happens if it is a relationship or a human being? What happens if it is something that you struggle for years and years and years, and you're just waiting, one more push and it will happen, one more push and it will happen. And sometimes it won't happen. At present, Nawazuddin Siddiqui is being regarded as one of India's finest and best actors. 17 years he toiled in obscurity, basically little better than a glorified extra. Today he has broken through, so it is becoming a big parable and morality story for never giving up and always keeping a positive attitude. There must be at least 5,000 people who started out with him and who have been ground and crushed into powder. So sometimes all this never say die, be positive is the worst you can tell somebody, because that is just setting them up for further failure. It is not serving them. It is not their entelechy, it is not their Svadharma, it is not serving them anymore. These are all things that you have invested in. There is, in economics, there is that thing, that just before stock market collapse, that escalating commitment, that people keep trying to recoup their losses by investing more and more money. In life also we do that. Escalating commitment. I have spent so much of my time, I have spent so much of my resources on this situation or this project. Now how can I walk away from it? And in yoga, sometimes that is the one thing you need to do, which is there are very good psychological reasons why for sannyasa, before they give you sannyasa, they ask for the vairagya, they ask for the renunciation. Give up. Give up your name, give up your family, give up your resources, give up everything that you have been invested in, because those things that you have invested in, those things that have been your life experience, those are the things which will prevent your evolution. Tyaga, to sacrifice or to let go, it is not about an external thing of reducing oneself to poverty or just giving away everything that one has, but it is when the time comes to realize this is not serving me anymore, can you transform yourself? At that moment, can you just walk away? Now, one extreme psychopathic example of this was in the famous dialogue from the movie Heat. Never get attached to anything that you cannot walk away from in 30 seconds when you feel the heat around the corner. But that's a criminal mind view. It's not a Zen mind view, it's a criminal mind view that you should be ready to flee and escape to South America at a moment's notice and give up your friends, give up your family, give up your who you love. And that unfortunate quote, it was perfect in the context of the movie because it showed the Robert De Niro character, the kind of life he chose to live, because he lives by that philosophy because he doesn't want to go back to prison ever again. He's not going to go back to prison. But it cannot be a thing for life that never get attached to anything that you cannot walk away from in 30 seconds. You should not walk away in 30 seconds. You should take one good hard look at the situation. This situation, is this a problem or is this something that I need to recognize is no longer serving me? So that whole horrible cliche, I hate it, that every problem is an opportunity in disguise. So I recently saw one internet meme that always aim for the stars, because even if you miss, you'll be miles away from me with your motivational bullshit. I was like, yeah. That's true. What I am saying is something very different. What I am saying is, when you see that there is something that is a problem, does it have a resolution? Does it have a solution? Or is it something that you say, this part of my life is now over? Or this aspect of my life, or this habit of my life, or this conditioning of my life, or this experience of my life is no longer serving my enteleki, is no longer helping my Svadharma to come to its fruition, to come to its fulfillment. This takes a little bit guts, this takes little bit hardness, this takes little bit determination, or you can wait for the tree to be shaken. After the tree is shaken 10-20 times, you get the idea, and then you say, okay, now I need to let go, now I need to move forward. You see, these are all the things that you can do with yourself, but very often the choices we make in our interactions, all interactions come at an energy price. This is something that very, very few people understand. All interactions come at an energy price, and if your interactions, the nature of your interactions are such that you are being depleted, your yoga is done for. Your yoga is roast. See, because I am a yogi, I have a YouTube channel, I am quite open. Anybody writes to me, I write back. That is politeness. That is part of my socialization. That is part of my, somebody has written, it's minor thing, I write back to them. That is just being polite. That is just being a productive member of society. It's no. But that act of writing, very, very often, it is very unfortunate that this happened, but very often the act of having replied sets up one Himalayan expectation in their mind. This person has replied to me, therefore this person is now responsible for me. Oh no, where did that equation come from? Where did that connection come from? but there is a whole invisible contract. And in self-defense, just purely out of self-defense, because yogis don't want to create that kind of connection, they don't want to create that kind of energy drain, they don't want to create that kind of interaction pattern which will limit and impede and hinder them, they just don't answer. Because this is mind-boggling. Even in the days when I was not a yogi, even in the days when I was just a tarot reader, it used to be the commonest thing. People will come for one reading and then they will, the next 20 months they have supplementary follow-up questions. Your interactions, your actions, what you do, any action you do, reading a book, seeing a movie, sitting at home and vegetating, eating, it all has an energy cost. Either it adds to your energy or it takes away from your energy. It is very, very difficult to have an action that is completely energy neutral. Now, to come back to not just to me but to most people in my position, people seem to think that we are, in a psychological sense, we are some kind of ambulances, which means that when they are shattered and broken, we must rush to the rescue and get them into the ICU. Or even worse, that we are some kind of dharamshala, or the worst case scenario, Sarvajanik Mutari, which I am not going to translate. Those who understand can understand. Because I am a yogi, what? I just become the lightning rod for your pain. This is the further addition to that famous talk of mine, don't be a lightning rod to other people's pain. You won't believe the amount of feedback I got on that one talk. How many people wrote privately saying to me, thank God somebody said it. This is so common. You are not in any ways invited into people's life. The minute hell breaks loose, they start communicating to you. You become the lightning rod. Their pain is just comes in these tsunami like waves. Now if you're friends with that person, okay. Or even if you have a friendly relationship with that person, okay. But you have never been invited into their life when things were going well. Now suddenly when everything is going to hell in a handbasket, suddenly you are given the honor. You are the recipient of this entire. And they know, because when you come to a person at higher energy vibration and you pour out everything, you do feel better. So I'm not saying they're doing it maliciously or that they're doing it consciously. They're doing it purely unconsciously, but do they realize what kind of a karmic foolishness that is? What kind of an idiotic way it is to go to a person in yoga, or to go to a person, that this person seems to be together, or this person seems to be spiritually in some way developed or higher. Let me therefore use them as a toilet bowl, and let me use them as a garbage bin for all my problems. How many people tell me, I have gone to so many people and nothing has happened? I say, because of the way you went to them. What have you gone to these people with? In our scriptures it is said, you go to meet a famous teacher, a famous yogi, always take a gift. Take at least fruit or flower, if nothing else. Now, what do you take except your pain and your issues and your flatulent desires? You only go with the worst part of yourself to the temple and to the Guru. And then you say that nothing good happens to me. What do you do? When you ask for help, what do you give in return? Oh, but we don't have, it's not true. They have resources, they have skills, they have ability, they have social position, they have many things that they can give, but they come to the yogi or to the spiritual person only with the worst aspects of their life and with the worst aspects of their nature. And then they say nothing is happening. How will anything happen? The same problem in your own sadhana. When you are doing spirituality, I have made this point before, but I am saying it because even if I say it 1,000 times, it will not be enough. That it is not enough to only bring the best parts of yourself to the light. You have to bring all your negative, useless, pathetic sides also and illuminate them. Otherwise, what will happen is you will grow to a certain level, you will grow to a certain stature, and the things which you don't bring into consciousness or you don't bring into light, like your hot temper or your ability to fly off or your ability to not be in control of your appetite or your lust or something like that, all those, because they are regarded as bad, you will keep them away, you will suppress them. You grow, you do grow. Nobody is saying if you do sadhana you won't grow. You grow to a certain point, and then one day those things which you have neglected, which you have not brought into the light, they erupt, and then you have a scandal. I say very honestly to people, when they write to me, I say very honestly to people, my help and my knowledge are only for those who are my disciples and those who are my students. What is inappropriate in that statement? What is wrong in that statement? If I farted in their face, they would not feel more insulted. They seem to regard this as a complete shocking betrayal of all humanity. And like, when did this happen? When did I start owing you? And because of this whole nature and setup, where the help the people and be compassionate, and I have seen it has become so bad, which is why I articulated that very unfortunate sentence. It's a famous sentence now: compassion ka katora leke kahin aur bheek mange. Because you cannot just go to somebody and say, by interacting with you I am feeling better, therefore I will dump on you. You are now my therapist, you are now my, you can't do that. I have seen this again and again and again. How many people, they say, oh, we met that person but nothing happened. I'm like, nothing happened because of the way in which you went. You went only to take. You don't even have to give in exact measure, but you have to give something back. And there is a unwillingness, it is not an inability, there is an unwillingness to comprehend that we cannot keep taking and taking and taking, just does not get into people's mind, especially when it is a matter of somebody who is spiritual. The spiritual person is a 24-hour open pharmacy, Now, as a spiritual person, the minute little Shakti develops in you, people can feel that your internal energy has changed, and they will all come. The leeches, the parasites, the vampires, they will be magnetically attracted to you. And instead of letting that go to your head, oh wow, suddenly I have become a magnet, so many people are depending on me. Many people fall into that trap. Many people fall into that trap of all these people are depending on me and I can help and I'm such a compassionate, caring, kind person, and that's it. They end up getting destroyed. That is the moment when you need to be, is this serving me in my entelechy or not? Is this moving me forward in my path or not? If it is not, shut it down. You don't owe anything to anybody. I come from very hard perspective in yoga. I don't come from a mild-mannered rasgulla kind of thing. I come from very, very hard perspective in yoga. No, I don't know. And this one question, that why? Why does one need to do that? Why does one have to take one's time and life out just because it is there? There has to be adequate recompense, or there has to be some value. Like I said, all interactions have an energy cost. Now, if you think the cost is fine, you go ahead. But you have to keep recalibrating, you have to keep reprocessing and rethinking in yourself. Am I getting somewhere? Okay, I was getting somewhere up to last year. This year I seem to have stalled, or I seem to have actually gone back. What has happened? And then you'll observe it's your interactions that has changed, or it's some kind of new habit or some kind of new unfortunate situation, or a lot of your time is being wasted in responding to foolishness or something like that. See, this this constant shedding of the skin, you have to constantly release and let go of all that is impeding you. You have to constantly say, okay, this does not serve, this does not have, this is no longer valid, this is no longer useful. And at a intellectual level, everybody is in agreement with that. But the minute it comes to, oh, this will impact my relationships, or this will impact how people regard me, they all regarded me as a very kind and compassionate person, and now they will call me selfish. And like, congratulations. When people call you selfish, that is always a sign that finally you're looking out for yourself. You made one step forward. That is a good sign. I'm not saying that you become one narcissistic, dark triad psychopath, I'm not saying that. But I am saying that you have to see what is the value of where you are spending your time. The actions that you take, are they helping you grow or not? I have spoken on that, the one vital question to ask yourself, the things that I did today, did they take me towards my goal or away from my goal? And the minute you do that, the filtering mechanism becomes instinctive, it becomes automatic, and it is always on. It is not something that you have to remember to turn on. Okay, here, energy drain is going to happen, I need to turn it on. No, it will become automatic. Like I said, it's very easy to let go of, after a certain stage of psychological and emotional maturity in yoga, even your achievements you can let go of, because you always know there are greater and better achievements. But the negative side, the side that appeals to compassion, or the side that appeals to maybe I should not be only concerned about those kind of things, or the things where to progress now you have to be a little firm, you have to be a little hard, and you find that you can't bring that up within you. You'll find that, but all this while I've been the nice person, I'm the spiritual person, and I hear all the time, is this the way for a yogi to behave? And I'm like, you've not met yogis, that is why you don't know how they behave. And more importantly, I don't give a hang what you think of me. I am completely independent of your approval of me as a yogi, and that shocks people, because we are not a country where it is socially acceptable to say that I don't care what you think of me. It should be the crushing and defining fact of your life. And when somebody is told, your opinion of me matters less than an ant's fart, which is something I have actually said, it shatters them. It's like a Himalayan avalanche hit them. But your opinion of yourself also should not be important. Sometimes you should see, okay, I'm misjudging myself. I am completely going down the wrong path, and I need to come back. I need to come back. And I've spoken about how does one know one is progressing. There's 4 questions to ask yourself. I've spoken about that. 4 questions to determine your Svadharma. I've spoken about that. But this one thing is very vital, and trust me, nobody gets anywhere unless this one thing is there. Whatever does not serve you has to be given up. Give up what is no longer serving you in your Svadharma. You have to let go of that, because otherwise you're just... Most people don't get anywhere in yoga, or they don't get anywhere in spirituality, because they would rather suffer than give up. They think that the suffering will compensate. The suffering does not compensate. The action or the behavior or the circumstances or the relationship, that is the impediment, that is the requirement at the moment, and that is what needs to be moved. Your sitting and suffering may get you a lot of idiotic approval from mentally retarded people around you, that, oh, what a compassionate and kind person. Maybe it is true also that you are a compassionate and kind person, but you are not moving. And you will not move until you identify this is the impediment at the way, and I just need to say, all right, this no longer serves. Now, you will get a lot of criticism that you become very brutal, that you become very cruel, you become very self-serving, you become very selfish. And my answer to that is usually, thank you, I worked very hard to acquire these qualities. I mean, that's more to shut them up than any figure of truth. But this has to be understood. What does not serve has to be given up. Otherwise, no matter how much, you can do hours and hours of sadhana, you can do hours and hours of kriya and japa and havan, but they won't let go of the limiting things. The beliefs, the interactions, the relationships, that which limits, they won't let go. You are constantly building up the Shakti, and then the Shakti is used to strengthen your chains. I mean, what kind of dumbass, what kind of idiocy is that? And then you say, I'm not getting anywhere in sadhana. It's true, you're not getting anywhere in sadhana precisely because what you need to do, you won't do. And it's like I said, no, people, they want to transform, but nothing much must change. How is that going to happen? So yeah, I guess I've spoken enough, and I've probably said many harsh things, but if I won't say it, then who will say it? Because everybody is busy being the halwai, like handing sweets out. Sometimes hard things also needed to be handed out. So just keep this in mind. That which no longer serves your Svadharma has to be given up. There is no other way. Sarvam Shivamaya.